Hi guys, my name's Owen. 我是熊老师的儿子，他今天帮我拖来讲。But no, I'm just kidding.
It happened he is here for one semester, so otherwise you don't get a chance. We don't get a chance to see him. He shared once last year. Yeah. But today I say no more than 10 minutes.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, like if you were here the last time I was sharing, you probably would have heard like some of the things I'm talking about today. But yeah, I'm just gonna talk about like when I first went to Australia. Okay, so when I first went to Australia, it was 2020 February. So that was when like COVID was like, yeah, coming up, and in Taiwan we were worried about it, but there wasn't any lockdown. I managed to fly to Australia, but at that time, like flights from China were already banned. Like flights from China into Australia were already banned. So I was in Australia, and like the dorm I was in, there were supposed to be like maybe 800 students, 400 Australian, like white Australian, 400 Chinese internationals. But because Chinese students couldn't come in at all, there were just 400 like white Australians, and I was like one of the 3 Asians in the entire dorm. And so like, yeah, during the orientation, they're like, oh, are you from Australia? And like everyone rose their hands, and like, are you from like another country? 3 of us raised our hands. They're like, okay. But yeah, so at the start, during all those orientation activities, like you would see all those like local Australians, they would be super outgoing. They would just be like talking to each other and just like, oh, how are you doing? Oh, like where are you from? What are you studying? Like, oh, I'm from this place, that place, Sydney. I went to this high school, I'm studying like accounting, whatever. And so they'd just be like all talking to each other even though they'd never met each other before. They were just like super outgoing, they seemed super extroverted, and I was just sitting in the corner with like 2 other Asians. I was like, how did they do that? Like, what? Because like I used to be quite shy, I think, growing up in Taiwan, and also introverted. But I think, yeah, so first day, second day, I kind of just sat in the corner, 3rd day, 4th day. I think the 5th day I was just thinking like, yeah, I can't really just spend my days doing this. I kind of need to step out of my comfort zone. So I was like, okay, yeah, screw it, I'll do the same thing. So I went out like, yeah, how are you doing? Where are you from? Yeah. And surprisingly, I think it was very different, but I think as I stepped out of my comfort zone, it was, even though it was a challenge, I think it really made me grow a lot because it made me more confident, it made me more outgoing. I'd still say I'm an introvert because I still get tired, but I'm no longer as afraid to talk to new people, and I think I do find it enjoyable when I actually get to meet new people, to hear about their experiences, and just get to know about more opportunities in general. But yeah, the initial step out was definitely difficult, but I guess the takeaway is I would encourage every one of you do have like an opportunity to study abroad or to, I guess, step out of your comfort zone to do it. I mean, it's easier said than done. Like, it's not easy, but I do think like most of your growth does come when you step out of your comfort zone. I've only talked for 3. Okay, I'll talk a few more things about like culture shock and whatever. So I think a few things that you guys might already know is that like overseas in some Western countries, when they greet you, they might hug you. Or like in their houses, they wear their shoes indoors, they don't take them off. So those things I knew before going to Australia, so they weren't that big of a culture shock to me. But there were a few things, different things that I was like, huh, that's kind of weird. Like for example, like the dishes. When they did their dishes, I'm not sure if it's just an Australian thing, but they would like wash it, use the detergent, and then like just put it on the rack. They wouldn't rinse off the soap， 就是他们不会把肥皂，他们洗碗不会把肥皂洗掉，他们肥皂就像上面有肥皂，然后就放在那个架子上晾干。我想说谢谢。But anyways, but yeah, like I was like, aren't you eating the soap? Isn't that like I don't know? But they were like, oh no, like it's fine. I'm like, okay. But yeah, I wasn't very used to that. Another thing that I think you guys might have like heard about if you went to like Andrew's like talk about change a few weeks ago, is that like values on study. So like in Taiwan, in Asian countries, I think study is usually pretty valued. Like if someone had good grades or they were smart, people would think like, oh, like 学霸, study Chad or whatever. Like yeah, that's admirable, that's respectable. But in like I think overseas in the West, like sometimes when I would say like, oh yeah, I'm a bit of a nerd, and I don't think I was being offensive to myself. I don't mean nerd in a derogatory sense. 就是我说我自己书呆子，不是说我自己，不是在贬低自己。But they would be like, oh no, you're not a nerd. I'm like, what? What do you mean? I like studying and like learning things, but yeah, in the West, like there's just this difference in values that I think it's all yes different, but it's interesting and it's good to just be aware of these things. Yeah, 我要讲吗？还是差不多？Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Thanks for listening to my talk, guys.